What is up, guys? I've got another Tenyi deck profile for you here today. I've got a few new Tenyi builds because of this awesome card, Dragon Cycle of Celestial Illusions. I mean, guys, it's insane. Let me quickly read it out for you. Tribute one worm monster, add a worm monster from your deck to your hand. If you tribute a non-effect worm monster to activate this, special summon it from your deck instead but negate its effect. During your main phase, if you control a face-up non-effect monster, banishes from your graveyard, add a Tenyi from your deck to your hand. You can only use one of those effects per turn and only once that turn. This card is insane. This card helps so many worm archetypes. It helps Tenyis, helps True Dracos. Guys, even Metaphys, I'm definitely going to be bringing out a pure and a Tenyi Metaphys deck profile for you, just because I feel like this card's just insane. I'm so happy it's come. It means that Tenyis can actually use their spells and traps, which aren't even that bad. That was one of the main reasons why I did not use them before, simply because it's like, what's the plan? How are you going to even get to them in the first place? But this card makes it very easy to get to them, and so as a result, I'm definitely going to be playing 3 of these. Rise of the Duelist is out in 2 weeks, guys. We are so happy that we get this Tenyi support. But yeah, let's move on to the build. So I'm going to be playing 3 Ashuna, 3 Vishuddha, 3 Adhara. Those 3 obviously you're going to be playing at 3 because they're amazing. As I showed before, Ashuna does a lot for the deck, tutoring a Tenyi from the deck. Vishuddha can bounce a card from the field, and Adhara will recycle one of your banished Tenyis. Between these 3, you can do a lot with this archetype. Then you play 1 of Sathana and 1 of Mapura. I got rid of the green one because he's probably the weakest, and I wanted to keep this deck down at 40. But these 2 are okay. I'd say these 2 are good. This one in particular, Mapura, is nice just because even though it's rare your opponent is going to target a non-effect monster, they occasionally will, just because they're occasionally going to be forced to because of Sasahara's effect, which is quite nice. But yeah, so it is nice to kind of have those 2 effects in there and just have those extra Tenyi names. Moving on from there, we have 1 Mare. Mare facilitates so many combos in this archetype, and again, because of Dragon Cycle, we now have 6 different ways to get to that Mare. It's insane. We can get our Mare in the graveyard and just play around with it so much now. I mean, guys, Tenyis is so much better now with this Dragon Cycle card, and definitely you need to pick up Tenyis if you haven't already, and you need to get your Dragon Cycles when Rise of the Duelist comes out. Then moving on from that, our True Draco monsters, I'm going to be playing 3 Ignis, 2 Maiden, 1 Dynamite Knight. Now, True Dracos are really good, and one thing about Tenyis is they don't really need their normal summon. They can use it, but they don't necessarily need it, which means True Dracos go really well because True Dracos only use their normal summon for the most part. So with True Dracos, I only play 2 Maiden now because we have a very easy way to search any True Draco monster in Dragon Cycle. So in my opinion, you don't necessarily need the 3rd Maiden anymore. You're going to get to a True Draco monster if you want to get to him. On top of that, you have a searchable counter trap now, which means you don't need to play things like Solemn. You can play instead the Tenyi counter trap and use that alongside your True Dracos if you want to kind of fall back on that strategy. But yeah, I just think True Dracos work really well with Tenyi. They generate a lot of advantage. They have a lot of disruption. One really good thing about both Tenyi and True Draco is that they're both archetypes where you don't necessarily feel like you have to play a lot of hand traps because they have a lot of ways to disrupt and frustrate your opponent without having to go into that. True Dracos obviously have their spells and traps, which are going to be popping cards. Tenyi have Vishuddha, which is going to be bouncing cards. So you have a lot of interaction with your opponent before you even get to the stage of playing hand traps and stuff, which is awesome. Having said that, you do still play this, for example, this version going first, because this deck can put up some nice boards that are just annoying for your opponent to deal with, and as a result, your opponent's going to waste resources dealing with them, and as they deal with them, your True Dracos will generate you advantage. Your Tenyis will be bouncing back from the graveyard because of these ones. I mean, it's just going to be awesome. Then moving on from that, our spells and traps. So we're going to be playing 3 Vessel for the Dragon Cycle, 3 Dragon Cycle of Celestial Illusions, 2 Fists, 1 Flawless Perfection. So Vessel is an amazing card. Obviously, that's why I'm playing 3. I don't need to explain it. Look at my other video. The card is going to be in the top right. Look at my other video if you want to see when you're going to be using that Vessel card and what you can do with that Vessel card. Dragon Cycle, as I've said before, amazing card. So Fists, the reason why we didn't play this before, obviously, is because it wasn't searchable, but now that it's searchable, definitely is not a bad counter trap at all to have. And then Flawless Perfection of Tenyi. Now, guys, I've got a little bit of a tip for you here. I'm going to say this now, and then you guys will find out later. Maybe I'll drop the deck profile if this gets to enough likes. Dark Magician Tenyi is insane because of this card. You heard me right. Dark Magician Tenyi. It's an insane deck. If you haven't tried it already, go hit that up. I'm telling you now, it's nuts. But anyway, yeah, this field spell is quite good for your non-effect monsters. It just does a lot, and your opponent is going to be forced to pop it, because if they don't, you're going to be drawing so many cards off this. By the way, what's even better, and what I really like about this, is this also applies to face downs. It's not just non-effects. So if they special summon a card while you have a face down, you're also drawing 2, so it's not just non-effect monsters, which is great. Then moving on, we have our True Draco spells and traps. I mean, also they're going to generate us a lot of draw power, a lot of kind of utility as well. One of the weaknesses of Tenyi, I'd say as well, is probably they are a bit weak to back row, because beyond Vishu they can't do much about it. But the True Dracos really help kind of facilitate that, because you've basically got 6 twisters in your deck, not twin twisters, the regular twisters, I think little typhoon or whatever, I don't know, whatever card that just destroys one, mystical space typhoon, that's it. Yeah, you've got these 3 which all can, these 6 which can all act as spell and trap removal, which is great. Then you've got these 3. Apocalypse is a really nice card, however the reason I only play him at 2 is because I never really want to see more than 1 in my hand. I'd rather have more spell and trap removal as utility than having random monster removal, because I can deal with monsters very easy, which is why I only play Apocalypse at 2, but it's still a really good card. And Return, it's funny, I don't know why Return is still limited to be honest. I don't think it's that good, but I don't know, maybe it's something to do with True Kings or something like that. I don't think I was playing that far back, but yeah. And moving on from that, we have one Diagram. Diagram's a really good card. Obviously it's very easy to sort of get any of your True Draco cards with this. Unfortunately, because it's at 1, we're not really relying on Diagram for the majority of our plays. It's really about draw power. And then you're going to be playing 2 Avarice, so you've got quite a bit of draw power between Heritage and Avarice. Tenyis with 1 monster can cycle through a lot of the extra deck very quickly, especially if you get a Shun. If you get a Shun, I think you can actually make Avarice live in 1 turn, which is amazing. So as a result, Avarice is just a great card, and then combining that with Heritage, you have so much grind potential that it's going to be very hard for your opponent to deal with it, because you can constantly recycle your spells, you can constantly recycle your traps, you can constantly recycle your monsters. It's like, what are they going to do? But yeah, let's move on to the extra decks. So starting off, we have 1 Linkuriboh. Linkuriboh is really only there just for when you're really on the back foot and you only kind of have your normal summons left. You can normal summon that Adhara, get into that Linkuriboh and protect your board just a bit better. But most of the time, your Link one that you're going to want to go into is your Monk of the Tenyi. Amazing start. It's weird how strong an effect monster can be, but this really a non-effect monster can be, but this just really shows why Link ones are so busted, because the ability to kind of set up your graveyard and also put a card on the field so you're not losing an advantage is going to be insane. Moving on from that, we have 1 IP Masquerena. Masquerena is a great card, very easy to go into in this deck because you spit out Link materials, and obviously you're not going to use as Masquerena turn effect on that turn, so again she is still very easy to kind of get on the field and then just leave till next turn. Then you also have your Shaman of the Tenyi. She's your kind of main extender. She does a lot for the deck with Mare. Her and Mare just generates so much Link material for you. And not just Mare, you can combine her with Sasahara or Draco Berserker, for example. So you can use a Sasahara or Draco Berserker to make her, and then special summon them back with her, and so now you've just generated huge amounts of advantage as a result of that. 1 Phoenix and Unicorn, which are going to be what you're going to be going to with your Masquerena. This deck likes discarding its cards a lot. They like having cards in the graveyard so they can get away with playing these very easily. Then you're going to be playing 1 of each of the big links. So I have 1 Draco Masters. This card is slowly becoming more and more obsolete. I would actually probably cut this. If I was to cut anything from my extra deck for space, this will probably be the first one. The only really good thing about him is that he's a Link 3, and he's a relatively generic Link 3 if I haven't got access to a Tenyi. But other than that, he's not amazing anymore. Berserker of the Tenyi, that card, funnily enough, in my opinion, is even better than Draco Masters just because he's non-effect, and so he's supported by all of the Tenyi cards. Then 1 Sasahara. Sasahara is amazing. This card just does so much for the archetype. It makes it very easy to put your normal monsters on the field, and so it makes all of your Tenyi cards live. And then on top of that, obviously, he's going to be generating free Link materials, protecting all of your worms. Actually, not just your worms, sorry, he protects all of your effect monsters in general, which is going to be great. So just a really nice card to have. Then we have our 2 big Link 4s. So we have Access Code Talker and Avramax. So you don't actually have to play both, you can pick one. But I just like having them both there. Again, it's very easy to recycle cards, so it's easy to climb up into these and then recycle the materials. So Access Code for kind of clearing the board, Avramax for being over threats, and Draco Berserker also being over threats. You do have quite a bit of OTK potential. It's hard for your opponent to kind of just put very high attack threats on the field and for you to not be able to deal with them, because you have so many ways of dealing with them between Sasahara, Astram, and Draco Berserker. But moving on into the side deck. So in my extra deck, I'm going to be playing 1 Arc Nemesis Protoss, 1 flag, a free flag, and 1 umbrella, and then a Reproductus as well. Now this package is really for games 2 and 3. Once you know what your opponent's playing, you're going to be using your flags and stuff to get into your Protoss, summon your Protoss, bring out a Reproductus pointing to that, change its attribute, and now you can deny your opponent from summoning whatever attribute. Are you against Salads? Use Reproductus, change them to fire, deny them from playing fires, and so on and so forth. So it's just a really good package, but obviously this is for games 2 and 3. You're not going to be doing this in game 1. However, it's just a really kind of potent way to lock out your opponent after game 1. I definitely like having this kind of 6-card package in my extra deck that is very easy to get to as well. What's really nice again is now our Arch Nemesis Protoss is easily searchable by Dragon Cycle of the Celestial Illusions. Guys, this card is insane. It does so much. Searching any worm monster, I don't think you realize just how insane that is. Trust me, try this out, you're going to love it. Moving on, 3 Lightning Storm, 3 Imperm, 3 Evenly, and it's really just about dealing with big threats. So if you're against those annoying kind of boards, that people that make calamities and stuff, you definitely want to be bringing up the Imperms. And then Evenly and Lightning Storm just for equalizing against stuff like Autogeist and such. But guys, that is the deck profiles. Tenyis are definitely a lot better with the new support they have received in Rise of the Duelist in terms of Dragon Cycle. That's really the theme of this build. Dragon Cycle allowing us to now mix with True Dracos really well. I'm definitely going to have some more Tenyi profiles coming up for you soon. So guys, if you enjoyed this, make sure you leave a like on this video, comment, let me know what you want to see next, tell me how it's going when you try out this build, and trust me, you won't be disappointed. Subscribe to my channel, I've got plenty more deck profiles coming for you soon. I'll talk to you all later. Peace.